All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lucia Galiero, and today I am presenting work done from my curricular internship back in 2024 with colleagues from CNR in Pisa with a project that was supported by H2 IOSC. And the paper that I presented, whose title is much longer than this, is actually Reviving WordNet-like Resources, MariTerm and ItalWordNet Renewal through mutual and expansion and plugin links, is a case study for what you might call resource archaeology, taking namely two Italian lexical databases that had been sitting unused for 20 years and trying to basically make them useful again. So the two resources at stake were ItalWordNet, so a large network of Italian words organized by meaning and semantic relationships, and MariTerm, a specialized database for maritime terminology developed in collaboration with the Port of Livorno. Both were created in the early 2000s and contain genuinely valuable linguistic knowledge. But the problem is that, as you might know, that formats can become very rapidly obsolete, and the two resources what we are talking about were never systematically connected, neither met modern standards for accessibility and interoperability. So they were both rich, but effectively inaccessible. Our approach in that sense was deliberately more conservative because the instinct that you have when you find legacy data is to convert the format first and then work with it. We kind of did the opposite because mostly we were running out of time. We prioritized content enrichment before format migration. Conversion, as I mentioned, would have been time consuming with high risk of data loss. So we kept basically the original XML schema that we were provided with, and we focused basically on what the data actually said. All of this because the resources used an old Euro WordNet schema, which is currently not compatible any longer with current standards. Retaining it actually let us reduce conversion errors and focus energy on the content, as I was saying priorly. Migration to Onto Lemon standards and formats remains future work. And basically, how did we achieve all of this is through a okay, I say my a semi-automated pipeline where the core was basically identifying which synsets, groups of synonymous terms, basically, inside of MariTerm, corresponded to synsets inside of ItalWordNet across approximately 200,000 potential definition pairs. As you can see in the slide, we basically used TF-IDF, which of course it's not the most sophisticated option as neural embeddings exist and are widely used in research nowadays, but it worked well here because both databases are highly redundant. So maritime definitions in both datasets keep repeating the same words, have the same structures, and that's exactly what the measure what TF-IDF exploits very well. We also added a second component, which is a weighted relation score, comparing not just definitions of candidate matching synsets, but also those of their semantic neighbors, so hypernyms, hyponyms, near synonyms, with weights that were taken from existing literature. Combined, the two scores gave us a lightweight but effective similarity measure for this highly specialized domain, especially in Italy, since we are a, a country of sailors, basically. And as far as cross-resource integration is concerned, once we identify the matches, we expanded the ItalWordNet version that we had with maritime content, adding relations, creating new synsets where concepts were absent, and handling missing definitions through fallback inheritance from related synsets. And we populated also the cross-resource links because something that we also mentioned in the paper is that MariTerm's original documentation mentioned nodes specifically for linking synsets to to equivalents from other resources, but they were completely absent in the data set that we were handled. So we basically restored and populated them automatically, enabling navigation between the two resources in both directions. And this is a breakdown of results. So what came out of this? A lot, to be honest, which basically means from a list of 1,200 candidate syntax pairs, we validated almost 750 syntax matches. From those, we added also roughly 1,200 new semantic relations to ItalWordNet and created from scratch three new, not free, but 300 new ItalWordNet synsets. To adding to this, also MariTerm was enriched, as you might be from this, as you might see from the slide. And for cross resource linking, we also added respectively to each resource 750 mapping nodes for each direction, even though they're not purely symmetrical in a numerical sense, but this is another limitation that we acknowledged in the discussion of our paper. We also tried to perform a little bit of an accuracy evaluation of our system through the F1 score, and it turned out that when excluding entities like ABO cities, which the system, for example, missed due to absent definitions in both resources, we got an overall 0.95. If the named entity recognition, named entities are counted as false negatives, the F1 drops to 0.82. And we also have discussed this in our paper. So there were also some other challenges, such as, for example, structural inconsistencies, where, for example, we had missing metadata, we had some duplicate synsets inside of ItalWordNet, and some definition inconsistencies of post pipeline after using a pipeline that required a dedicated correction script. But now the updated MariTerm on our part is already deposited in the ELC for CLARIN repository within the CLARIN infrastructure, and you can visit it, the resource at the handle displayed in this last slide. Well, for me, it's everything from my side, so I will now yield the floor back to the organizers and to the next speaker.